Welcome to day 2, Cannes Lions. Can you believe, Sophie, that we're already at day 2?
I feel it's day 5.
It feels a little bit like day 5. My name is Thomas, and I'm joined by an amazing panel here today, and we have quite a serious topic to discuss. For many, democracy might be a given, but I think we have seen democracy facing some challenges recently. So what is the role of creativity in defending democracy and also reminding people of why we have a democracy? And so their creativity plays an amazing role, and that's what we're going to discover with this panel here today, Sophie. And I'm really looking forward to this important topic.
Oh, yes, I can't wait. So now let's introduce everybody on this panel. I'm going to begin with you, Alexis. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, how are you? I'm Alexis Ospina, Chief Creative Officer of Great Mexico.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Hi, everyone. I'm thrilled to be with you today. I am Stephanie Bertrand-Tassilly, Global Chief CSR Officer at Havas.
Thank you, Stephanie. Jake?
Yep. Hi, I'm Jake Dubbins. I am the co-chair of the Conscious Advertising Network. I also run Media Bounty and a project called ACT Climate Labs, similar to ACT.
Yes. Thank you, Jake. And there's one panelist who's not on the set today, but who's Charley Stoney, CEO of EACA, but she did record her answers to our questions, so we will see her in the discussion. We will begin with you, Alexis, with your incredible campaign, and to talk about it, the best way is to watch it.
Dámonos sueltos. Sí. Gracias. Venga!
Alexis, what a powerful campaign. I have goosebumps.
Thank you very much.
How did you come up with that idea and you turn like this statistic into something so emotionally charged and so incredibly actual? I mean, this campaign was shot a while ago, and we just saw this in news recently for real. I mean, it's so true everywhere, not only in Mexico. How did you come up and...
I think the most important thing is how we need to present this kind of topics because it's our reality, you know. This is important for every team, for everyone, and it's an awareness campaign. This is the our goal, you know, to all people today understand the freedom of liberty and expression is for our journalists and the press is everything, you know, because today we need this kind of freedom always to express our thoughts, everything, you know.
Exactly. I mean, if we don't have this, if journalists can't do their job, whatever side they are, if they can't come and shoot and say something and tell us what's happening in the real world, we don't have any democracy left. It's the end. We're silencing them.
Sadly.
Yeah. So how do you see moving forwards? How do you see your industry helping? I mean, you do it here. How do you see it moving forward?
I think it's our responsibility, like professionals in communication, how can put something in the table like this to present the reality, not only in our countries. I think in around the world it is so important, and the creativity have the power to change something. I think always the ideas can connect with the people, with the truth, with the freedom, and express ourselves. You know.
And I have a small little question that was not on that didn't send you, but did you the client? Did you know them before? Did you?
Yeah.
How did you work with them?
Yeah, we did the last year a film for La Unión newspaper. We did a film to show the story of the owner, Moises Sanchez, was killed in 2015. And they create the newspaper, and the government and other people kill him, and it's a true story. We won last year a Bronze Lion in film with this campaign, and this year we continue working together.
Wonderful, very well done.
It's such a powerful piece, and I think, as you say, a really strong reminder of journalists goes to work every day, and just I think today in the news as well, journalists losing their lives in the conflict in Iran. So it's just a really heartbreaking piece of creative there, very, very poignant. So from sort of silencing democracy, which we also see in quite developed democracies, to another more important, or not more important topic, but a topic that is should be front and center in so many countries, which is obviously voter participation. Something unfortunate that we are seeing going down in more and more countries, developed democracies, new democracies, and that's why Stephanie, your campaign is really something that speaks wholeheartedly to me. India being a newer democracy, and I remember this campaign. I was judging DNAD. It was also incidents to the DNAD Awards in Impact. But obviously there's a bit of a cultural context to how voting is being done in India, using an ink as a way of signifying that I have voted, which is common practice in other countries than in India. But
Let's see the campaign.
Yeah.
let's see the
campaign
For
first.
those of you who haven't seen it.
Let's see the campaign. And it won something last night, huh?
Yeah. If you lived underneath the rock and haven't seen this campaign, here it comes.
This is not the regular ink. This is purple ink. And purple ink plays a very significant role in our democracy process.
Around 26,000 litres of electoral ink are manufactured every 5 years, which are used to mark the fingers of every voter after they cast their vote. A mark that prevents duplication of votes. But in the previous elections, democracy was taken for granted.
The voter turnout has decreased.
Why does Mumbai not vote?
India saw a low voter turnout, and 7,500 litres of electoral ink went unused.
We are India's largest selling newspaper. Yeah, maybe the world's largest selling newspaper. And of course, we are the world's largest democracy. So it was incumbent upon us to remind people of their duty to exercise their democratic right.
The Power of Print initiative of Times of India and the Election Commission presents the Ink of Democracy.
For the first time in the history of the Times of India and the Economic Times, the pages were printed in purple instead of the traditional black ink. This is a simple yet very powerful reminder of the potential wastage that you can do to democracy itself.
With Indians still starting their day with the ritual of reading the newspaper, the ink once used as a mark of democracy became a reminder to defend it.
It's usually the stories that are printed on the pages of a newspaper that bring in the required impact and change to the society. But for once, it was the page itself that became a catalyst for change.
This time we won't waste a single drop of electoral ink.
This is a wake-up call for democracy.
We have created a world record of 642 million proud Indian voters.
Such a powerful piece of work, and also for newspaper in a time, bit of a depressing news for me that just came out this week was, in fact, that now there are more people getting their news on social media than are actually picking up the paper, which I think is also a challenge to our democracies. Well, I'm particularly happy seeing this campaign as well as Times of India has over more than a decade. I had a Times of India campaign, my first book, Advertising, back in 2010. Been so consistent in terms of being a defender of democracy. So I want to know a little bit more sort of behind the scenes. I mean, what sort of led the creatives to think about using this unused ink as a media in the campaign, and secondly also because I know Havas have strong commitments around social corporate responsibility. So how does that fit into sort of the bigger sort of commitment from Havas?
Thank you, Thomas. I'm very proud to talk about this incredible campaign that received yesterday evening a Gold Lion. So, yeah.
Congrats.
So
Congratulations.
it's the first time for our creative teams in India, so warm congrats to them all. So, as you know, and it's mentioned in the campaign, but the Indian general elections take place every 5 years, and the previous one in 2019, 33% of voters did not turn up due to laziness, lack of awareness, and of course political alienation. So in 2024, the ensuring maximum participation become the top priority, really, and the reason to run a message of civic responsibility. And the idea came with simplicity, and we know that sometimes simplicity is the key success for a powerful campaign. And the idea was to have the Times of India group joined hands with the Election Commission, obviously, to present the ink of democracy. And in India, this purple colored ink is very known, and it was the way the creative teams found to embark the citizens. And of course, the campaign was rolled out in multiple cities just before the election to make people remember that they have to go and they have to vote. And the impact is just completely huge. They mentioned it, 642 million of voters for the first time. It's really a world record time. And at Havas, and I make the link with our CSR strategy, we strongly believe that that creativity had the power to bring about positive change in society. Of course, obviously in societal issues, but also ecological transition. And that's why one of our CSR strategy pillar is about responsible communication. And we put our expertise at the service, at the public interest. Obviously, we have a lot of campaigns, and I invite you, because if I do it now, I will be here at 8 p.m., I think. But do not hesitate to see our 2024 CSR report, because we have a lot of concrete illustration with our campaigns that show that creativity has the power to change the world.
Thank you. I think that's a very good recommendation just in general, to actually see what are the impact on these campaigns. And also what I feel is so interesting here is that India is the biggest democracy in the world, so it really shows what's at stake. Obviously, there's a lot of things, a lot of change happening in the media space these days. And obviously, what we're seeing in many countries is that big tech are getting more media budget away from local newspapers and others. So that's at least one concrete thing we're seeing that are financing journalism. So that's one specific thing where I think brands and agencies can play a bigger role in obviously funding local newspapers. But how do you see the role of Havas and other agencies and some of the brands that you work with? What can they do in showing up for democracy and civic engagement, especially as in my lifetime, I've never ever seen democracy under such a threat as we see here today?
Unfortunately, I would say, but obviously in today's context, all the agencies and all the brands have a critical responsibility to actively defend democratic values and as civic space continues to shrink globally, as you mentioned it. So agencies and brands together have to leverage their influence to advocate for transparency, inclusivity, but also accountability, I would say. And they have to use their creativity to raise awareness, as we have just seen it previously, about democratic principles, human rights, social justice, encouraging public discourse on these topics. And this can be achieved by supporting diverse voices, investing on community engagement, for instance, and by collaborating with civil society and fostering open dialogues, always. I think it's a key. They contribute to a more resilient democratic landscape, and they have to do it because democracy is in danger and all over the world. And ultimately, their proactive stance can empower communities and help sustain a robust civil environment. So, to summarize, we really have a critical responsibility on this topic, and Havas and all our peers, all the industry, is really taking their part of responsibility and using the creativity to embark all the countries when we can and all the local communities. It's really, really important and a strategic issue today, maybe more than yesterday.
Great, Stephanie, and I think I mean I do remember from the early 1900s, early 2000s, MTV having Vote Now campaigns as well, and also recently I did see during the European elections even brands coming together. Tony Chocolonely and Oatly came together for a Vote Now campaign, so that's also a new thing. So good points in terms of what creativity can actually achieve on this topic, Stephanie. Thank you so much.
And I'm gonna, turn to Charley, who's not there, but Charley from the EACA is launching a pan-European campaign with the EU to bring in the younger generation, talking about safety on the internet and digital safety, which is part of how do we protect our youth, and how do we get them to be able to do things and be part of the world without and getting the right information and all this thing. So she was not there, but we do have a recording from her. So let's watch the recording, please.
Hey, I'm with Charley Stoney, CEO from EACA. We're very happy to have you on the MyACT show today. Charley, you are launching with the EACA an initiative, pan-European initiative on safety for children on the internet, digital safety. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, this is a hugely exciting initiative that we are launching here in Cannes 2025. So for the first time, we are going to galvanize the European advertising industry and create a competition for young creatives to answer a brief that is aimed at raising awareness and helping both children and parents be more mindful of their safety online. We will be working with an NGO, but I can't disclose that yet. And we are also looking for EU support from MEPs and from the Commission. And again, I can't reveal that yet. So all I'm revealing today is that we will be doing this, and it will be launching officially in September.
Great, and we work together for years, EACA and Act Responsible. We know how it's important. Brussels is important for Europe. We know with what's happening today, how important is it for Europe. So MEP, we will surely try to interest them, and I'm sure, knowing them, I'm sure they will be. But what about the kids? How can we make sure, and why do we need them here on that specific topic? And how can we make sure we build something that's going to last in time and that will be strong and sustainable?
Thank you. It's a great question, Isa. And what's really interesting, particularly launching it in Cannes, because you have the Young Lions competition here. The Young Lions competition is wonderful for showcasing young creative talent, but you don't see their work come to life. So this is our way of creating a competition for young talent and seeing their work come to life. And this is really because within the EACA, we have what we call a young board, which is such an amazing group of people from agencies all over Europe who have come together because they want to make a difference to the future of this industry. So many young creatives don't see their work come to life until they get to the venerable stages of the creative process or their career. And so this is our way of helping them get to a point where they see an amazing European campaign for an NGO come to life that really makes a huge difference to minors and children across the EU.
So, very last question, because the show today is called Voices of Democracy. Do you think, building that strong young EU, young people, group of people, is it long-term to say that one day we will have even a stronger voice for democracy from the EU?
Yes, I really like to think so. I think this is in a small way, and hopefully it'll become larger over time. I would like to see this happen every year. We pick a subject. It might be the same subject for a number of years. But my ambition is that I want young people in our industry to realize they can make a difference. And this is what the ACT Care Awards are all about as well, and what you've championed for so long, is this whole idea that the work that we do in our world makes a huge difference to society, and we can use the influencing power we have for societal good and positive change. And I think showing young people how they can do that within a time frame that's feasible is really important.
So, well, we will support 100% the launch of this initiative. So thank you for stopping by the studios. Thank you for being our long-lasting partner for years. Yeah, have a nice time in Cannes this week.
Thank you, Isa. A wonderful pleasure to be here, as always, and the best of luck.
Thank you. And that was our journalist who we sent out there with less danger to her life to do a bit of reporting with Charley, right? She's back in safety. That is Isabel Curata, who's also the co-founder of ACT Responsible. And thank you, Charley, for sharing this important campaign. And what a lovely idea when talking about online safety for young people. Why not engage those very young people in kind of finding the solutions? Talking about online safety, and I know, Jake Dubbins, you've been working on this for many years. Few grey hairs there to testament to that. But such important work early on to really say what is the responsibility of our industry to make absolutely sure that the ecosystem that we're engaging with is safe. It's responsible, and there's obviously many things that go underneath that umbrella, from misinformation to many other things. But at the moment, and there's probably a lot of things, but where do you see the biggest opportunities for change right now?
I think in the world of online safety, I think a lot of work has been done to identify some of the most harmful content and where advertising is funding that, because this is a $1 trillion industry now, so we fund all of the tech platforms. You know, you talked about the reduction in journalism, for example. Where's the money going? It's going mainly to tech platforms. Journalism through Alexis film is under attack. UNESCO have found that, you know, over the last 15 years, 700 plus journalists have been attacked for climate reporting. 44 have been killed for their climate reporting. I was in Brazil recently, and we heard from scientists, journalists, and land and community defenders that had been both threatened and killed. Their colleagues had been killed for protecting their communities and just publishing science. So I think that there is still an absolutely gargantuan problem, and the way in which the business model works is through the attention economy. We are all feeding into that. Our phones demand our attention. Scale. We have advertising across hundreds of thousands of websites and channels and so on, and opacity. And I think, to answer the question, that is where I think the biggest opportunities are. We don't know where our advertising is going and what it is funding. So one of Conscious Advertising Network's biggest global members found that their ads were on 280,000 websites globally, with no ability to audit that and no ability to actually understand where they're turning up and what they're actually funding. So I think there is an opportunity through transparency, and it will probably need regulation, but it also means that we don't get into this false argument of freedom of expression. People can still say what they like, but they don't have a right to earn tons of money from advertising for it. So if you obligate transparency at log level data and at site level data, and you obligate transparency of financial transactions, where are sites based? Where are the made for advertising sites keep popping up? Where are they based? Who do they bank with? You know, it needs to be looked at like the financial market that it is. It's $1 trillion financial market. So we have the most wonderful creativity that we've seen today, hopefully being shown around the world, but those pieces of work can still be then on anti-democratic sites, sites promoting fascism, sites denying the existence of climate change. So with transparency, we can all choose whether or not we want to continue to support that harmful content. Pretty much nobody will. But without that, we are literally playing in the dark.
I think you're really pointing out something very, very important for the industry, and I think this is something that more and more brands also hopefully waking up to and realizing that there's a risk to the brand as well being associated with those types of sites. If you don't have control where your brand is being shown and in what context, there's substantial risks. I think it's a really good point. So another thing, and I think we talked about it a little bit, and I hinted at it in the beginning, that we do see this shift away from, especially younger generations, but overall we do see a shift away from traditional journalism towards online media, big tech, driving news platforms. Not to only say that's the only reason why we have misinformation out there, but for your organization, what are some of the things that you see communication can do in combating misinformation, and what is the way forward for our industry in rebuilding that trust? Because for me, it's absolutely disheartening that people today are show mistrust towards the very hardworking journalists that are risking their lives.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you see your members being faced with?
I think there's a couple of parts of that. I think there is the every brand has a choice, and every brand has an awful lot more power than they think that they do. I think that this issue is not very well understood. We are looking at evidence right now of very big brands funding content on the big tech platforms, and so therefore next to this content, denying that climate change is causing droughts in the Amazon, encouraging people not to trust rescuers in extreme weather events. So in Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil, in the Valencian floods, you know, literally saying don't trust rescuers and don't trust people coming to help you. And that is very big global brands that are sat next to that. So I think and also we're looking at another study coming out which is showing the level of self-harm videos and and suicide videos on big tech platforms with very big brands that are all here next to them is no different to when Molly Russell took her own life in the UK, partly due to seeing those sort of suicide videos. So I think, you know, there is a huge responsibility for all of us to actually lean into this and actively choose and be much more in control of where we are putting, you know, curation of the environments that we are actually spending our money in, rather than allowing AI or the machine learning businesses to basically put our ads everywhere without us knowing where they're going. I think so. There's the funding of that. I think it's also effectiveness. There's some brilliant work happening in the UK from Essence Mediacom that says that according to all of the studies from a Profitability 2 report that was published in the Media Leader, saying that we're spending 3 times as much as we should for effectiveness, not through the moral argument, on social media. So returning to news quality environments, you know, where creative really shows up really well in TV and cinema and print and so on, I think that's another real opportunity. And then just finally, I think clarity of strategy. I think all of us here are coming to an inflection point of what businesses are we going to choose to use our creative and our strategic expertise on. The climate crisis is here. And there are entire sectors of business that are going to disappear. So cocoa is massively increasing in price because of the climate crisis. Coffee is massively increasing in price because of the climate crisis. And raw materials, food supply chains, all are under massive threat. So if we want to maintain our chocolate clients, our coffee clients, and so on, we need to make a strategic choice of, are we going to have a sort of cakeism approach of working with everybody, or are we going to back future brands and leave behind fossil fuel brands who are actually causing these brands to possibly cease to exist in the future? So I think there's a lot of sort of absolute clarity that this whole industry needs to go, what are we actually working on, and what are we funding, and what are we choosing not to work on and not to fund?
Absolutely strong points, and it reminds me that nobody really just opens the door to their kids and just say, run loose, I don't know where you're at. And I kind of feel that sometimes we as creatives, brands, agencies definitely need to show up with much more responsibility, because obviously where we put our money at is what we're essentially supporting.
It is, and just a final point on that, this is, governments are now, and the UN are now getting involved in this. So just very quickly, there's a project called the Global Initiative for Information Integrity on Climate Change. The 3 chairs are UNESCO, very, very worried about journalists, the UN themselves, and the Brazilian government, who host the COP this year. So they are coming to speak here at Cannes on Friday about this issue, about making sure that we know where our money goes, as well as communicating climate beyond the bubble. So really leaning into information integrity and trying to stop the sort of weapons-grade disinformation that we're seeing all around the world in every country.
Yeah.
Yes, this information is a real problem, and how we tackle this and how we protect these journalists that will get the right information that is trustworthy is the very important and very and finding the way to push them and to protect them and to have them in the right platform, in the right media, so we can do an educated choice as consumers. So to wrap up, I'm going to ask you, each of you, what is your call for action to protect this, democracy, the truth, and what do you want to tell our listeners?
I think the responsibility of media, government, and we like creative and brands, of course. I think all of us can help to do something. Always. You have a links, and you can donate to protect the journalists. And I think the most important thing is put on the table the reality, and in media, of course.
Yes. Thank you. Stephanie?
I would say to the young creative people who are watching us probably at this moment, always keep in mind the incredible, tangible, and concrete power of creativity that can change the world. It's real. Sorry, and maybe ask yourself systematically what impact the campaigns you work on have, and what future you want live in.
Thank you. What about you?
I think I'd encourage people to have the difficult conversations and to call out some of the hypocrisy. So there's a report come out this week where 77% of people on Meta are now less are concerned about that they can't speak freely since changes that came to the content moderation systems on Meta. So if we're going to talk about freedom of expression and leaning into democracy, people have to feel like they're free to speak, right? So I think asking much more difficult questions, holding the power to account, and then each business and each individual in business choosing what they work on and actively choosing where we spend our money.
Jake, what an absolutely amazing last final rallying cry here for everybody who's listening, and really enjoyed the many different perspectives in terms of what you can do as a creative, as an agency. And if you're more interested in a lot of this, there is an organization here, Consider Advertising, and Jake, he'll be around. There's a panel on Friday as well that I'll really encourage you guys to join. And maybe a final closing thought from my side is, this is one of the topics that's a very, very easy win for a brand or an agency or as a media owner. It doesn't cost you anything. This is just common sense. You don't want your content associated with the wrong issues. You want to leave a world where generations, people, citizens can not only just trust news, but trust in your brand. So I think this is really your brand being, and your brand equity being at risk here. So a little final, maybe optimistic note as well is obviously, yes, creativity can be a driver in this, and you have all the means in your hands to do something about this. Thank you so much to the panel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.